Hello everyone. Today, let's continue the story of the single mother, Dieu Hân. After so many storms, Han and Tana's lives have finally found their way back to peace. The small house at the corner of the street is once again filled with laughter, the sound of little Tom playing Tan calling Han to eat, and the gentle rustle of a bamboo broom each morning. Both of them understand that old wounds cannot be healed overnight, but it is empathy and patience that have helped them move forward, to begin again, not as strangers, but as two souls who once lost each other and have now been reunited. This morning the sun peeked through the clouds. Han took Tom to Anna's old house, the one at the end of the narrow alley. Grass had overgrown, dust covered the window frames, and the place bore the marks of months left uninhabited. As she swept the floor, Han said softly to her son, "Let's clean the house for Auntie Ann, okay? Maybe when she comes back and sees it still looks the same, she'll feel happier." Tom nodded eagerly and grabbed a broom to help his mother. Ann had gone back to her hometown long ago to search for her lost child, but there had been no news since. Han had called her many times. Anna's voice always tried to sound strong, but Han could hear the silent pauses and the quiet sobs on the other end of the line. Looking around the room where Ann once lived, Han sighed softly. She lit a small stick of incense, folded her hands and prayed, "I hope Auntie Ann finds her child soon, and that they'll be reunited just like me and Tan." A gentle breeze blew through, carrying the sweet scent of milk flowers across the yard. Han smiled, a serene, peaceful smile. Life might not be perfect, but at least now, her heart had found the calm it had been searching for all this time. That afternoon, the golden rays of sunset stretched across the little street in front of her house. Tan was holding a simple bouquet of roses and a small box wrapped with a pale blue ribbon. Inside was a silver necklace he had spent the whole morning choosing, the first gift he wanted to give Han, as a way to express all the feelings he had yet to say. Since the day they reunited, there had been a new closeness between them. Tan was no longer shy, no longer hiding his emotions. The pain he once carried now made him cherish every moment beside Han and Tom even more deeply. Today he had made up his mind. He would tell her everything. But on his way to Han's house, he unexpectedly saw his mother standing by the roadside, looking tired and frail. Seeing him, she said softly, her voice weak, "Tan, I've been unwell these past few days. The doctor says I need someone to take care of me. Can you stay home with me for a while?" Tan froze. His eyes fell on the bouquet in his hands, then shifted toward the road leading to Han's house. A flicker of hesitation passed through him. He had looked forward to this evening for so long, to tell Han that he loved her, that he wanted to build a real home with her. But his mother, she was the one he owed everything to. He gently set the bouquet down on the car seat and sighed, "I understand, Mom. I'll go home with you." The car slowly turned down another road, carrying him away beneath the crimson glow of sunset. The bouquet lay tilted in the seat, petals trembling in the wind, a few falling softly onto the pavement, like unspoken words left behind. Across the street, Han and Tom were still sweeping the yard, unaware that someone had planned to come, but quietly turned away. The evening settled softly. The last rays of sunlight stretched across the porch roof, spilling a warm golden hue over the old stone steps. The cicadas were growing tired, only a few lingering notes echoed faintly through the quiet air. Tan stood there, in front of Han's gate, his hand gripping a bouquet of crimson roses. His heart pounded so loudly he could almost hear it himself. It wasn't the first time he had come to her house, but today felt different. He had spent the entire morning at the flower shop, choosing each rose carefully, tying the ribbon himself. He wanted to give Han something beautiful, something sincere, something she truly deserved after all the years of hardship. "I'll just stop by for a bit, give her the flowers and leave," he told himself. But the longer he stood there, the heavier his feet felt, as if the ground refused to let him move. From inside came Tom's bright, sunny voice. "Mom, I finished my drawing." Han's gentle reply drifted through the open window, soft as the wind. "Bring it here, sweetie. Let me see. You did such a good job." Tom smiled. Just a few words, yet they filled his chest with a warmth he hadn't felt in years. That simple peace, he had lost it long ago, until the day he met the two of them again. He was about to turn away when the door opened quietly. Han stepped out, her hair loosely tied, her floral blouse simple yet graceful. Seeing him, she froze, surprise lighting up her eyes. How long have you been here?" Tan hesitated, scratching his neck shyly. "I just got here. I brought you something." He held out the bouquet. Under the fading sunlight, the red petals glowed like small flames. Han gazed at them for a moment, then slowly reached out. Her fingertips brushed against his, warm, soft, trembling. Both of them froze. For a second, time seemed to stop. "For me?" Han asked softly, her voice barely more than a whisper. "Yeah, I thought they suited you," Tan replied, eyes lingering on her shy smile. Han looked down at the flowers. Their fragrance floated gently in the air, light, sweet, like a memory of spring. She had never been given flowers before, never received a gift that made her heart tremble quite like this. A gentle warmth spread through her chest. "Thank you, really," she said quietly. "To me, this is the most beautiful bouquet I've ever held." Tan chuckled, his eyes softening with affection he could no longer hide. He looked at her, this small, gentle woman who had endured so many storms, yet still remained tender like a morning blossom. A breeze passed by, lifting a few strands of her hair. They brushed against his shoulder. Both startled slightly, their eyes met, and the world seemed to fall silent, leaving only the sound of their hearts and breath intertwined. Tan spoke first, his voice low and warm. "I still have so much I want to tell you, but maybe it'll have to wait until tomorrow." Han looked up, her eyes reflecting the soft violet of the twilight sky. "You'll come again tomorrow?" He nodded, smiling gently. "If you don't mind." She shook her head, cheeks faintly pink. "Not at all. I'll be waiting." They stood there together as the sunset faded, the quiet stretching between them like a thread neither wanted to cut. Inside, Tom's cheerful voice called for his mother again, pulling them back to reality, but still neither moved. Tom looked at the bouquet in her hands, his eyes filled with 1,000 unspoken words. Han smiled, the kind of smile that belonged to a woman finally allowing herself to believe that, after every storm, she still deserved to be loved. The evening wind carried the scent of roses and soft laughter. On the old porch steps, the two of them stood side by side, saying nothing more, because their hearts already understood. That night, Han's small house glowed softly under the yellow light. Outside, the night breeze rustled through the tall erica palms, whispering like echoes of a distant village. Inside, the faint scent of tea mingled with the fresh fragrance of roses in the glass vase on the table, wrapping the home in a quiet peace. Tom was fast asleep, curled up under his blanket, breathing steadily, his rosy face smiling faintly in a dream. Han gently pulled the blanket over him and tiptoed into the living room, where Tom sat quietly at the small wooden table by the window. He looked up and smiled softly. "Tom's asleep. Yeah, he must be tired. He played all afternoon," she said tenderly. She poured him a cup of warm water and slid it across the table. "Tell me, you said you have to go back to your hometown tomorrow?" Tom nodded, his eyes drifting toward the window, where moonlight streamed through the thin curtain. His voice lowered, carrying a trace of worry. "Yeah, my grandmother's been weak lately. She's had a cough and a light fever, but when I called earlier, her voice was so hoarse. The doctor said she's too old to be left alone. Only my aunt is there, and I'm afraid she can't look after Grandma properly." He paused, tightening his grip on the cup. "Grandma raised me since I was little. My parents worked far away. She fed me, taught me to read, told me stories every night. Now that she's sick, I can't rest easy." Han was silent for a moment. She looked at him, this man who spoke little, but whose eyes held deep care and responsibility. She nodded gently, her voice calm and sincere. "You should go. She needs you. Having a grandson like you will make her so happy. Don't worry, Tom and I will be fine here." Tom lowered his head slightly, a gentle smile curving his lips. "I know, but honestly I don't want to leave this place at all." Han blinked, surprised. "Why not?" He lifted his gaze, his eyes warm and deep. "Because you're here and Tom. I feel peaceful here. It's been so long since I've felt what a real home is like." The room fell silent, broken only by the whisper of wind through the door crack. The bouquet on the table quivered slightly, a few petals falling softly onto the wood. Achingly beautiful. Han smiled faintly, her voice soft as mist. "Go take care of your grandma. I believe she'll get better soon. When you come back, I'll make better tea than tonight." Tom laughed, a gentle, genuine sound that Han had rarely heard from him. He nodded. "I promise I'll come back. And when I do, I'll tell you how Grandma used to raise me. And I'll bring you the cakes she always made. They're delicious." Han looked at him, her eyes glimmering under the silver moonlight. "I'll be waiting. You said it yourself. Don't make me wait too long." They both smiled. The quiet room filled with the steady tick of the clock and the soft hum of the night. Everything was simple, and yet so wonderfully warm. Outside, the moon hung high. Tan stood up and stepped onto the porch, taking a deep breath. The breeze carried the scent of earth, of flowers, and of the woman whose love he hadn't yet confessed. He turned back. Han was still there, sitting by the table, holding her teacup, her eyes following him, peaceful, tender like the night itself. Crescent moon. In the days following that heartfelt evening, Tan continued to visit Han's house often. He said it was just to make the most of the time before going back home, but deep down he simply wanted to stay close to her a little longer, to see Han's gentle smile, to hear Tom's clear little voice calling him Uncle Tan every morning. In the mornings, as sunlight slipped through the leaves, Tan was already in the yard. He rolled up his sleeves and repaired the old fence in front of the house, replacing the rotted, slanted planks with sturdy new ones. With every swing of the hammer, every bead of sweat that fell, Han couldn't help but feel something stir inside her. A quiet blend of admiration and affection. By afternoon, he was up on the roof, fixing the tiles that had leaked during the last rainstorm. Han called out anxiously from below, "Be careful, it's slippery up there." Tan laughed, his voice echoing down. "It's fine, I'm used to this. If your roof leaks, little Tom might catch a cold again." Hearing that, Han lowered her gaze, a warmth blooming in her chest. It had been so long since she'd felt genuine care from a man. Not through flowery words, but through small, simple gestures that spoke louder than promises. That afternoon, Tan brought over a small television and set it in the corner of the room. "I noticed you didn't have one. Tom's such a good boy. Now you two can watch movies or cartoons together." Han widened her eyes. "You really bought this for us? You shouldn't have, that's too much." Tan smiled. "It's nothing. I just thought when you're tired, maybe this will help you smile a little more." Tom cheered and threw his arms around Tan. "Thank you, Uncle. Now I can watch cartoons every day." Tan laughed, ruffling the boy's hair, while Han stood quietly nearby. Her heart swelled with emotion. She realized that Tana's love wasn't loud or rushed. It was warm, like sunlight after the rain, gently seeping into every corner of her heart. That night, as Tan was about to leave, Han walked him to the door. The bouquet from the other day still stood fresh in the vase, its petals leaning softly toward the lamplight. She looked at him, her voice trembling slightly. "Thank you for everything you've done for me and my son." Tan smiled, his eyes kind, deep like the fading twilight. "I just wanted to help." Besides being here working alongside you and Tom, it makes me happy." Han said nothing more. Her eyes glistened faintly, shimmering like a reflection of unspoken feelings. She knew this man didn't make grand promises, but every little thing he did was a quiet declaration of care, a silent confession of love. When Tan stepped out through the gate, the night breeze brushed past, carrying the faint scent of milk flowers. Han stood there for a long time, watching his figure fade into the darkness. Something inside her had changed. No longer the quiet loneliness of a single mother, but the gentle glow of hope, small yet warm. And under the golden light shining from her little home, the roses remained vibrant, silent witnesses to the emotions blooming between two hearts. The whole neighborhood still lay under a thin veil of mist. The October air was cool and tender. Drops of dew fell softly from the leaves onto the porch. The distant hum of motorbikes blended into the tranquil morning, accompanied by the faint aroma of coffee drifting through the air. Tan rolled his small suitcase into the yard. He looked around the familiar house, the fence he'd mended, the roof he'd repaired, the laughter of little Tom, and the gentle eyes of Han at dusk. Everything now felt so dear that the thought of leaving weighed heavily on him. Han stepped out, holding a thin scarf in her hand. She wore a simple sweater, her hair tied neatly, her face still showing traces of a sleepless night. Tom trotted beside her, clutching the stuffed bear Tan had given him. "What time is your bus?" Han asked softly. "6:30. "I should get going soon," Tan replied, his voice calm and low. Han nodded, her fingers playing with the edge of the scarf as if to hide her unease. "Let us take you to the station." The three of them rode in silence, the motorbike gliding along the damp road. Only the wind whispered through their hair. From time to time Tom turned and asked, "Mom, will Uncle Tom be gone for long?" Han smiled and gently brushed his hair. "He's just going to take care of Grandma for a few days. He'll be back soon." Tan heard her words and a small wistful smile touched his lips, tender yet tinged with sadness. When they reached the station, dawn had just broken. The first rays of sunlight pierced through the mist, painting the sky gold. Buses lined the platform, engines rumbling, drivers calling out routes in a hurry. Tan set down his suitcase and turned toward Han and Tom. "I should go now. Take care of yourselves, both of you. If the roof leaks again, call me. I'll come back right away." Han smiled through glistening eyes. "Don't worry. We'll be fine. Just let us know when Grandma gets better. That's all I need to hear." Tom looked at her, wanting to say something, but the words stuck in his throat. He reached out instead, gently brushing aside a strand of hair that had fallen across her forehead. His touch was tender, almost reverent. "Thank you, Han, for giving me the feeling of a real home." She bowed her head, her voice trembling. "No, it's me who should thank you. Since you came, this house hasn't felt lonely anymore." They both stood still for a long moment. Then little Tom looked up innocently. "Uncle Tan, will you come back to play with me?" Tan chuckled and crouched down to pat his head. "Of course. When I come back, I'll bring you Grandma's peanut candy. She makes the best ones." The bus engine roared to life. Tan climbed aboard and turned to look back. Han stood there, gripping her scarf as the wind tossed her hair gently. Beside her, Tom waved enthusiastically, his voice bright and clear. "Goodbye, Uncle Tan. Come back soon." Tan smiled, his eyes glimmering through the mist. The bus rolled forward, disappearing down the small hill. Han stood there watching until his silhouette faded completely, leaving only the soft emptiness of morning. She took a deep breath, her heart both hollow and warm. In her hands, the roses had dried slightly, but their red remained vivid. She held them close and whispered into the breeze, "Safe travels, Tan." Beside her, Tom's innocent voice rose again. "Mom, when Uncle Tan comes back, let's bake cookies for him, okay?" Han smiled and drew him into her arms. "Yes, sweetheart. We definitely will." The morning sun climbed higher, gilding the rooftops in light. Inside the little house on the corner, the faint fragrance of roses lingered in the air, like a quiet promise shared between two hearts learning once again how to believe in happiness. Rose.
Xin chào mọi người, rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video của mình. Chúc mọi người có một ngày vui vẻ và hạnh phúc. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video ngày hôm nay của mình nha. Vậy là sau những biến cố thì Thành cũng đã dũng cảm bày tỏ tình cảm của mình với Hân. Liệu rằng tình cảm ấy của hai người sẽ đi đến đâu và sẽ có kết cục như thế nào thì mời mọi người đón xem ở video tiếp theo. Ở những video tiếp theo thì sẽ nói chi tiết hơn về tình cảm của Thành và Hân. Liệu tình yêu ấy có đến được với nhau hay không, hay còn trải qua những khó khăn gian nan nào phía trước. Thì mọi người nhớ đón xem những video tiếp theo của mình được phát hành vào khung giờ 7 giờ tối tại Việt Nam. Mọi người nhớ chú ý đón xem để không bỏ lỡ video nào nha. Cảm ơn mọi người đã ủng hộ mình trong suốt thời gian qua. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người.